like I said, I think they're going to have it for a reason. I just feel like
There it is, Kyler Murray right there talking about getting ready to play. A little chip on his shoulder, so let's see what happens this coming Sunday. And with that, we say good afternoon to Howard Balzer, of course, of GoPHNX.com. Howard, Jimmy B, Manooch, Jax, and Shu back at the studio. Welcome, Howard, as always. How do you see the Kyler Murray resurrection taking place?
That's an interesting word to use for it. I just think it's going to be fascinating to watch because, everyone's got their opinions and guesses what it's going to look like, what's going to happen, all these things. But the reality is we don't know. No one knows. I mean, I think Kyler Murray, he's obviously as ready to play as ever going to be. He's going to get out there. You have to think there's going to be some rust to begin with. But, it looks like James Conner will be activated from injury reserve, so he will be available. That's a plus, certainly. One of the big concerns I have, and hardly anybody's talking about it, is the offensive line. Because, DJ Humphries and Will Hernandez both did not practice again for the second day in a row. Now, if Humphries can't play, you have Kelvin Beachum, so you don't lose that much right there. But Hernandez going out, the crazy thing is the guys that replaced him in last Sunday's game, who they had picked up on waivers from the Colts back in August, Carter O'Donnell, was added to the injury report today with an ankle injury. So we don't even know who the right guard's going to be, who will be the backup tackle if something would happen. Again, if Humphries doesn't play, who would be the backup tackle to Paris Johnson and Beachum? So how's that line going to be able to protect them? How are they going to be able to block for the running back, for the running game? Certainly that's going to have a big say in terms of how effective this offense is on Sunday with Kyler Murray, coming back. Obviously, he said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play like I normally play. And it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Howard, if you'd be listening to Rock and Manooch and Jimmy B and hearing the quarterback perspective the last 3 days, I have been all over that. So you're not listening enough to Rock and Manooch and Jimmy B and hearing the quarterback perspective. I said that is the bell cow of who the offensive line is going to be. Is it second and third teamers? Is it this guy? So Howard, don't be afraid to tune in. You're going to get the straight scoop when you have a quarterback coming in from that standpoint. No, I think the other piece that you're going to need is that James Conner has to play, I feel, in order to win this football game. And on top of that, you're going to have to somewhat protect Kyler Murray from himself in reference to knowing what he can or can't do. So I think Drew Petzing is kind of between a rock and a hard place. He can let it fly, but on a kind of cautiously let it fly by getting that protection from this whomever offensive line of the Cardinals.
No, you're 100% right. And letting it fly is one thing. And I always love guys. And I've heard it, this week from that play. Well, you got to go downfield. You got to go downfield and all this. And I always say, well, in some cases you say, well, go downfield to who? Now, granted, you can go downfield to Hollywood Brown. That's a possibility, certainly. But you still have to have the protection to be able to do that and also have support from the other receivers because if Hollywood Brown's being double teamed, then it's awful hard to go downfield for him. Now, hopefully they'll have Michael Wilson back. He's not necessarily a downfield threat, but he's a pretty good receiver. But, you look at Rondale Moore, you look at Hollywood Brown once again. You're talking about 5'9" guys. Rondale Moore is 5'7". So all those things enter into what you can do on offense because obviously you devise game plans to fit the players that you have. So I don't think he's necessarily going to let it fly. They're obviously going to hope that they can run the ball, quick passes. I think Trey McBride, could be, a key part of this game at tight end. So, yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see what the approach is of Drew Petzing and the plan that he devises to, by the way, go against. Now, they're not the Cleveland Browns, the Falcons, but that's still a pretty good defense that they put on that field. They played good defense this season.
How they let it fly is they go max protect. You send out three, you chip your tight end, you at least throw it up. Just throw it up, and you got a chance of coming down. That's how you let this bad boy fly. They're going to have to pump the ball down the field. You can't go hitches and slants and short passing game because you'll see a lot of what we saw against Cleveland. You're not going to see a 3.1 yard average completion. They have got to get the ball down the field, and they'll do that with max protect because you got enough talent there, intermediate, deep to underneath, and that's what I mean by let it fly. That can be done. It's just a matter of just making sure you've got the protection. You can bootleg him, you can waggle him. My whole contention would be how does he hold up as far as getting to the outside? Does he hesitate to run? Does he take off? And on top of that, them not putting him in harm's way by doing the RPOs. The RPOs have got to be out of the playbook for this week. If you're going to do anything design-wise with him, get him outside, have him throw the ball, and not run the ball.
No, I think those are all good points. And again, when he was asked today in about a 20-minute press conference about running, and you're going to have it in your mind and all that. No, I can't have that in my mind. I just got to go out there and play, because if you have it in your mind, then you're going to hesitate, and you just can't, you have to play at full speed. And because I realized that, it was talked about that he's not going to have a brace, and he says, "Well, I was told I don't need one, so I'm saying good. I don't want a brace because I don't know that he wants reminders of all this." And obviously, he's been through this long rehab. He seems in an okay place mentally, where he's not going to have that on his mind. It sounds crazy that he wouldn't, but that's the way he says, he's going to approach it. But we'll see. We'll see on Sunday, about this. This right about at this time in 72 hours, we're going to be at halftime, and it'll be very interesting where things are at that point. But the whole game is going to be just really interesting to watch.
Howard Balzer's our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Howard, Manuch had a great stat today pointing out that the Falcons defense is ranked 6th overall in the NFL, not just the NFC, in the entire league NFL.
From the running perspective.
From the run defense perspective. So if they can't run the ball worth a damn, is it just going to be Kyler trying to do what he can do? They got to figure out some way to run the football, right?
No, yeah, well, that's what you would hope would be able to do. There's no doubt about it. Because if you get in too many second and long,
2 minutes
long, then you're going to be in those obvious passing situations where they're going to bring the pass rush. And, we've seen a lot of that, throughout, earlier this season. The one thing, just to address Manuch's point about, going downfield, and we didn't see a lot, but we saw shots downfield, in previous games.
Mm-hmm.
But Joshua Dobbs doesn't have the accuracy that Kyler Murray had. I mean, there were several times where he had guys downfield, whether it was Hollywood Brown or someone else, and he would just overshoot them. And so hopefully Murray will be. We know how accurate he can be. We hope that now, not having played a game in 11 months, we'll see if that accuracy comes back quickly. But because the way he throws the football, obviously, is something to see. But certainly, yeah, you have to be effective, running it, because then when that happens, then you can do the play action and you can do those things. But it has to be effective. You just can't get into too many long down situations, which has been the case. I mean, last week against Cleveland,
1 minute,
they had 5 third downs. They were 1 for 12 on third down in that game. And I think 5 or 6 of them were 10 yards or more. And when you start doing that, and some of that is penalties also. Some of that is penalties. So you've got to be able to avoid all of those things if you're going to have some kind of continuity on offense.
Always great, pal, when you come on the show. Thank you for the insight. Can't wait for how long is that? 72 hours, you said?
Howard's got it down to the hour, man.
Yeah, that's 72 hours. That'll be halftime.
Halftime.
70 and a half hours till kickoff at 2:05 on Sunday afternoon at State Farm Stadium.
You're the freaking best. Thank you, brother. You have a nice night. Have a good night, bud. There you go.
You too, guys.
All right. Howard Balzer, everybody, and he's sponsored by Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em. It's our weekly Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em. It's all powered by Blue Moon and Coors Light. You make your picks for each pro game for a chance to win man cards from Twin Peaks. Once again, just go to fanpick'em.com. All right, we're starting to run out of showtime. So when we come back, going to clean out the locker, give you the learner and row 1 call. That's all. Also update you on what's on the boob tube tonight and the results of our State 48 roofing. It's your call question.